Hi folks, welcome to what I'm pretty sure is the third in our series of Dharma Outreach, Dharma Talks. And today we've just got myself and Marshall. Welcome again, Marshall.
Always.
So I think we're maybe a week and maybe 2 weeks behind with these because I finally got COVID, which was to be expected. So we're a bit behind with these programs. COVID was interesting, and I guess it's just one of those things that goes to prove our teachings on impermanence. But for any of you that, and there were lots of you that were asking how I was doing, I'm doing okay. I'm probably not 100%, but I haven't been 100% for many years now, so that's okay. And thank you for your concern. So I think the other thing I'd like to say is that we really want to open this platform up to anyone that's kind of interested in being involved and being part of this program. So we've tried to get guests. Now I've not been very successful with that. So I'll just throw that out there. That if anyone is interested, and we apparently. Our studio people here have very kindly sorted things out so that we could take virtual guests. So if there's anyone out there that would like to have their say on what we're doing here with this project, and also to tell us about their own projects, perhaps that fall in line with our Dharma-related, recovery-related, re-entry-related mission to bring Dharma teachings to street level, to what I will continue to call disadvantaged communities. If there's anyone out there that would like to be part of that, please just give me or Marshall a shout, and we'd be delighted to have you come on there. So I think, Marshall, that really for today we would probably be our best bet to kind of maybe tell folks where we've got to so far, and I'm kind of never kind of happy quite where we're at because I'd like to be further.
Oh yeah, I'm never. You know me, I'm never happy. Never happy.
But in actuality, we've actually come I feel we've come quite a fair way in a short period of time. I think we've learnt a lot of lessons, and I can't actually be anything but honest with folks, and am I disappointed in the reaction from certain Buddhist establishments? Yes, I am. And I have to be honest about that. I'm a little bit disappointed that a lot of folks seem to be very good at talking the talk and very reluctant to walk the walk. But that's life. I'll get over that. This has been something I've been. It's been something I've been fighting for a long time, so I'm used to it. But on the plus side, we've had some positive responses. Marshall, I don't know if you'd like to, so I don't monopolise the whole thing. Some of the of the positives we've had.
Yeah, I could talk about it. I remember I read a quote once, and it was from an old politician or something, and he said, if you're going to go out to fight for righteousness and justice, don't wear your best trousers. You know, what we're trying to do here is something that, not many, or if very few to, if any, people are really doing. And, sharing the self-betterment tools of, Buddhism, such as mindfulness, um, right focus, focusing on paying attention to your thinking before you act, right intention, having intentions of goodwill and helping others. And this is our third installment, so, right speech, saying what's true and honest, but doing it in a way that is helpful for others so that others may develop, these positive qualities within themselves. Yeah, we found that, some people are reluctant or resistant to, getting involved with helping disadvantaged populations, people with addictions, people in the streets, people in shelters, things of that nature, but that's not going to stop us. And I will say the one thing that we've done is we've stayed diligent, and, for whatever, little help we've had, we've made an impact. And I have to compliment you, Sujatu, for going to the shelter, every Thursday until you contracted COVID, and teaching mindfulness to people there. That's amazing. And going and speaking at, the detox with me, and, being very active, and, helping in any way you can to build connections with other people and organizations that might be able to help in this project, so that we can be of more assistance and more support for anybody out there that might be interested in utilizing these tools to improve their health, happiness, and life.
I think, to be fair, it's very, very much a team effort. It's very much a team effort, and the team is growing. The team is growing slowly, and that's encouraging. I think that, we always knew that this project was kind of going to be out of any traditional Buddhist box, shall we say. Although, having said that, while it's on my mind, because I could blame my memory loss on COVID, but I'm not going to, because it's been going for much longer than that. Having said that, I would just like to, before I forget, give a shout out to two organisations in particular. One of them is the Zen Peacekeepers, which we had a very, which is the organisation that was started by Bernie Glassman, and we had it was a wonderful boost for me, and a renewal of my faith in organisations, shall we say. And we will now be affiliated. They've asked if we would like to affiliate with them, and that's a big deal for us, because they're a big organisation. So I'd like to thank those guys very much. And I apologise, I forget both of your names that we spoke to, because I really don't remember names. So I apologise. And the other shout I'd like to give is, which was again from a meeting from yesterday, is to Aaron from a non-profit called Dharma, who focuses on resources for spreading the Dharma for 18 to, I believe, 35-year-olds, so for the younger population. And again, we had a very productive meeting with Aaron yesterday, so I'd just like to say thank you to both of those, and there's many others, but I didn't want to forget that. And so things are growing, and it's not been that long. Obviously the whole COVID thing was a bit of a hiccup, but I'm certainly hoping to be, you know, to be out and about even more. And you know, I think some of the kind of, I'm not even going to say negative responses, but some of the not so positive responses, you know, they were to be expected, I think. And that's okay. We'll live with that. We'll live with that. I don't know how you feel about that, Marshall.
Well, one of the things I think about, you know, the nonprofit Tiffany's Recovery Incorporated, and I also would like to give a shout out to Everyday Boston, which is a nonprofit founded by Kara Solomon. She's been great to us. Namaste Sober has been great, and there's other organizations too that we're really appreciative of. But getting back on track, what I like to say is with these issues, these are things that are very difficult to understand, and they're very difficult for people to, you know, connect to on a deep personal level. It's easier to just shy away from it. And by going into you know, shelters and detoxes and places like that, and understanding that on some level people there are suffering, and you know, sharing with them information about, you know, something spiritual or educational or anything, it's a difficult thing to do. And I think, although difficult, it's the best thing to do on some level. Is, you know, not because you feel like you know, you have to share this with them or you have something to give to them, but just to make it accessible so that they know that it's there. If ever they're curious or want to know more, it's something that they could use for themselves in that moment or in the future. And Buddhism's, it's a beautiful tool because, you know, on the surface it's very simple and practical, and but once you dig into it a little bit more, it becomes very deep, philosophical, and transformative, you know, and that was the whole idea behind Dharma outreach, is to just make something accessible to people that might, you know, otherwise never have a chance to access it. And I guess, like, my stance, you know, at this point, because Sujo, you know, I get frustrated, you know I get frustrated. But my stance from the experience in learning, as you said, we learned, is that, you know, I cherish all beings. I cherish all beings in all states, whether they be, you know, higher spiritual states or, you know, states of agitation. And so, you know, all we can do is clean up our own yard and do the best we can do. And, you know, if there's a few neighbors that notice that and they want to come over and have a barbecue, that's cool. You know, if some other neighbor's not interested, that's fine too. You know, we're here to support everybody of all walks of life. Dharma is something that was, you know, made accessible to all beings, you know, within, you know, the capability to comprehend it. And as human beings, we have this wonderful ability to comprehend these teachings and these practices, and then utilize that, you know, to make our lives more manageable, happier, healthier, and even achieve certain spiritual and meditative attainments on some level. And you know, like, this is the third episode, right speech. Right speech is about, you know, if you know something that's going to help, you share it and you tell people, but you don't tell them in a way where you're, you know, trying to force something upon them, but you're just saying, if you're interested, you know, I do know this. If you'd like to learn more, this is how you go about it. It's that simple.
I think that's it's very interesting, actually, what you just said, Marshall, about right speech. I think there's a forgotten, or sometimes forgotten, element about right speech, that it needs to be right for the particular audience that you're addressing with that speech. I don't make any secret about the fact that I don't fit in with the establishment, and that there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And that's why I don't, and I know people have asked me, and that's why I don't sit and do traditional talks on suitors and discussions. I'm really not interested. I'm really not interested. There's plenty of people doing that. I can do that. I can do that all day long. I can do that all day long with the best of them. But that leaves out a huge section of society. So I think there's a very important aspect of right speech, that it is right for the people that are in front of you. And people will disagree with that, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no issue with it. I only have an issue when my only issue is when someone or ones want to say that this is the only way to do a certain thing, and if it's not done this way, which is their way, then it's wrong. So, as part of right speech, it's important to be addressing people in a manner that they can understand, and that is of practical use. So if we have a room full of people with degrees in Buddhist studies, you know, we're not going to be talking in the same way as we are to people that are literally on the streets struggling to survive, not even for the next day, but maybe for the next hour. And folks need to remember this. I don't even know if this is an English expression, but it's an expression I always use, and I always use the expression horses for courses, and probably no one even understands what that means. but it means that we use the correct tools in the correct situation. And I do feel that's a big part of right speech. Everyone concentrates on, you know, as far as right speech goes, we can all give book definitions of it, but I'm not sure how helpful that is. To me, right speech is being able to verbalise in a way that the people or the person that you're speaking with can understand where you're coming from, and that can be rough, you know. That can be, that can, to some folks that might sound like very harsh speech, maybe, you know. But the important thing is that it gets to that audience, and I think that sometimes we forget that. I think a lot of folks forget that's a big part of right speech. I don't know, Marshall, if you've got any thoughts on that.
No, what you said spot on. All people have their own experiences and understandings and learnings, and how they interpret information is different from every other person. So when we share information with people, we have to be observant as how that person reacts or responds to that information, to know that they either understand what we're saying or if they don't, then we have to figure out ways to be more clear and express information in a way that people can understand, you know, the meaning behind it. And like that's with, you know, the form of Buddhism I studied, the old Pali canons. It's like a ancient dead language that's been translated multiple different ways, and it's real difficult to translate something like that into the English language. So I've read it translated in many different forms, and you know, sometimes there were things that the meaning was lost on me until I've read it in different ways until I could understand. And something like right speech in Buddhism is speech that is kind, helpful, caring, considerate. You know, it's skillful in the sense that it doesn't cause harm or suffering to others. It's a good way, if you watch how people speak, you know, to kind of pick up on whether it's right or wrong speak. If they're speaking in a way that's harmful and cruel to others, then that might be wrong speech. If somebody's speaking in a way that's kind and considerate and helpful to others, that would be, you know, right speech. The whole point is to reduce dis-ease, to reduce suffering. You know, the Pali word that they always translate into suffering, dukkha, is the Pali word. Gets translated so many different ways: stress, dis-ease, dissatisfaction, and suffering, the most popular. And I think the point is just when you're formulating your thoughts and your ideas and your plans and your goals, to have, you know, that's right understanding, right intention, to be able to formulate that into a communication style that you're going to be able to not only, one, be able to communicate the meaning behind what you're saying, but say it in a way where, you know, it's not upsetting to others. And I would also venture out there to say that right speech would be speaking up when you know you should and then you don't, and that might cause harm to somebody else. So there's many different dynamics to this, and you know, and that's what we're doing. Sujato and myself, we're speaking, we're talking about something that's been very useful for us. It's been useful for others. And we're trying to, you know, bring it out there for other people so that they can learn about it and see if it's something that might be helpful for them. And you know, the intention is very strong towards healing. And you know, every human being, wherever they come from, has experienced pain and suffering, and all human beings are, you know, either in a process of healing, or they might be in a process of degrading in suffering, or increasing suffering. And the whole goal in what we do and what we say is to expand on the process of helping people heal. And if the beautiful thing about it is, you know, having a larger nonprofit that kind of provides different elements, is if the Buddhism part isn't helpful, there's other aspects that we can turn to, or other resources and things that we can, you know, help that person with, so that we can facilitate healing. That's the overall goal, and it's an unselfish goal. And you know, I would venture out there to say that, you know, right speech is selfless. It's not a selfish venture. So, kind of gauging that in our own speech, but gauging that in the speech of others.
I think it's something that struck me there, Marshall, when you said about speaking up. And I think speaking up, what struck me about that is that I make no secret of the fact that I have suffered with huge alcohol and substance abuse issues in the past, and I will I refuse to hide that. There is still a huge stigma to it. There are still people that judge me for that, and that's fine. But I think it's important that, you know, if we've been lucky enough to come through something like that, and in my case, it's been with the help of the, you know, certainly with the help of the Dharma. You know, I think we almost have a responsibility. Maybe that's a little bit tough for people to take, and maybe that's a little bit strong for me to say, but we almost have a responsibility. I didn't coin this phrase, and I don't know where it came from, but it's very true. That really, you know, we almost have a responsibility to be loud in our recovery so that people don't continue to die quietly from this, what is a terrible disease, affliction, call it what you will. And I think that struck me when Marshall mentioned, you know, speaking your own truth, if you like, as part of right speech. So I won't apologise for getting on my soapbox, and I will continue to recover loudly. Well, we're kind of somewhere near time for today. Thank you so much, especially for listening to me ramble in my pre-COVID ramble. Hopefully we'll have a guest for you next time, either in person or virtually. But until then, it's kind of goodbye from me, and